Friday nights, 6:01, live stream. Let's see if anybody remembers me. It's been maybe almost 5 weeks since I did a live stream, after doing them very regularly for, a while. Hey, there's a couple people. Hey, Vico. Eternal God, Ian, boom! Hey, whoa, pretty cool. Good to see you, man. JJ the Super Turtle, CyberXCA, Madi. Hey from Peru, Valentin Faconi. Oh yeah, I thought nobody would come. Maybe just a couple people. I'm glad people still remember me. The internet's memory sometimes is very short. So I'm really, really glad to see. Yes, I've been out on vacation and doing a bunch of artwork for about 3-4 weeks. And then, but now I'm back at the Blizz doing my work in the garage, doing my social media and personal projects. Yeah, we've all aged. I know. I have a puppy, right? Who, when I left, was about 6 inches shorter than he is now, and about 10 pounds lighter. He grew so much in 3 weeks that it's insane. Oh, Ian, you've been watching the live streams. Hey, no way, man. I'm so honored. Thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm making moves towards some big stuff for starting a Patreon and getting my YouTube channel going steady, as well as tutorials and a bunch of big things that I have planned for this year. So that's really cool, man. I'm honored that you watched them. Thank you. Glad I'm back. Thank you, Coraline Creative. Glad to be back too. It's kind of, it's hard sometimes after a long week to do a Friday night live stream, but it's fun too. You know what I mean? And I have lots of energy right now, feeling rested. So I'm excited to talk to you guys again, all. So I didn't really set a kind of an intention or subject base for this week's live stream, because I've been gone for a while, and I was like, hey, I'll just catch up with everybody, and then maybe let you know what I'm working on a little bit, some of the stuff I'm working on, and some of the collaborations that I have beginning with some other artists from the amazing internet out there, and show you guys some cool artwork from some of the artist friends that I am doing collabs with, that I have. Uh-oh, look at that. I've got 15% on my phone. I'm going to take care of that, because I remember a few times I've had these really good live streams where I'm animating live and then it gets killed, and then I can't share it with the people who didn't get to see me animate live. So I'm going to plug in right now. Yeah, so we don't lose anything. Right on. You guys been doing some pretty cool of your own animation? Some pretty cool projects on your own? Let's see here. Going under the desk to get plugged. All right. And we're safe. 15%. We're going to be all right. Hey. So, what I was saying is, now that I'm back from vacation, I am back on my Gremlin film. For any of you who don't know that's kind of the image that I was using in tonight's announcement on my story. It's the little me holding the finger of the Mogwai and lifting it up in the air. If that's an IKEA desk, no, that's, oh, the one here? Dude, I have no idea. I inherited it from an old company. But what I'm doing is I'm interacting animation and live action footage, like old Harryhausen style, except with new tools. And I'm using the Gremlin that I have, the Mogwai, to do it. And you guys have seen probably 4 shots I've shared so far with that little mini short that I'm doing. Test, and I just started the biggest shot of the short, and it's actually when I am picking up the Mogwai. Her name's Annie too, just in case that makes it easier. So I'm picking up Annie, the puppet, that was made by Michelle Mello. Go follow her at Michelle Mello, amazing puppet maker. She's working on Wendell and Wild right now up in Portland on a new Netflix feature from Henry Selick. It's going to be awesome. But she made me Annie, the Mogwai puppet, and I'm animating it. So I'm always trying to get you guys to go over there and check out her stuff. She's got a beautiful, awesome channel with some really awesome puppet making information for anyone who's interested in puppet making. But I was going to show you guys in the garage, which I will do probably in a little bit. I'll take you down there and I'll show you how I line up my live action footage, and then I match the camera with my blue screen environment with the puppet, so that when I reach down and to pick up Annie, I'll try my best to line it up, and I'll show you maybe some little tricks and things that I'm doing to try to make it line up as best I can. Let's see here. We got a couple folks in here. Hey, from Indonesia. The Sab Dog. Hey. It's going great. Thank you. Yes, Mellow Maid is amazing, everyone. Go follow her. Make sure you follow her. Love to see that. Can't believe how fun animation is. I understand why you love it. Yeah. Dude, it's magic. Freaking animation's magic. So some of the things that I'm doing after the Gremlin, just so you know, is I'm doing a collaboration with a couple other artists. And one of them is Luis, Eduardo Oropeza. And my other buddy, a couple of actual good Mexican artists that are doing a lot of really beautiful puppet work down there. And I don't know if you guys know this too, but there's some part of Pinocchio is being worked on in Mexico right now. And there's some really, really up-and-coming talent that's going to be making some pretty big, I think, waves in the future from that part of the country. So we have Beetle Owl. Go check out Beetle Owl as well. And look at his amazing puppets. I'm doing a couple of really cool team-ups with him on some puppets. And I'll show you some of the stuff that he's sent me so far. And it's really, really beautiful. And I cannot wait to jump on those as soon as we get done with Gremlin and a couple other things. Leica is making a live action feature. Yes, that is true. And for any of you who are asking me questions, just so you know, it's hard for me sometimes to see them scrolling. So if you add them to the little question bar down at the bottom, I'll make sure I see them because they go to a red place that I don't get lost when I'm looking at them. Yes. How are you stop motion forever? I don't know what that means, but I'm definitely doing stop motion forever. I love this medium so much. And it sounds silly, but I think I told you guys in one of my older live streams that, you know, as I get older, I'm able to move less and less. Hey, Paul Edwards, what's up? You know, because I have injuries, I'm getting old, I can't flip around like I used to. But I'm going to be able to freaking animate puppets forever. I'm going to be able to animate them forever. So that's like one of those amazing things that gives me a little bit of solace in losing my bounce as a human being is that I'm always going to be able to do this. You should. He is amazing animator Kubo Paranormal. Ah. Yes. So what I'm going to do... Oh, there they go. There's the questions right there. Okay. Is that your puppy? No, my puppy's on a walk right now, actually, Cube Man. My puppy's on a walk with Shell, my wife and daughter. They are taking him out because they knew I was going to do a live stream for an hour. So they are out in the wilderness where we live, out in the mountains, trying to get some exercise to our little guy. What happened with the Patreon? Yes! Dude, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Because I was on vacation, I had to put it on pause. But the Patreon is happening, especially because my YouTube is not monetizing. For whatever reason, it will not monetize and no one will contact me about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm making these huge amounts of videos and putting a lot of time into this stuff. And I have to have some way to make some money from what I'm doing. So if I can't do it on YouTube, I'm definitely doing it on Patreon. So I'm working on my first video, which is a puppet tutorial. And if some of you guys have seen the monkey stuff that I've been doing, the clay monkey, claymation, that's the subject. And that's part of why I've been doing the monkey animation tests as part of some content that I'll be using as I open my Patreon. So it's happening. And not only is it happening, there's a podcast going to be part of it so that there's regular content with me discussing, talking to other people that I've met over millions of years of being an animator, as well as some tutorials, which is what people really want to see. So it is happening. Let's see here. What's happening with Patreon? You should take a look at Animators React by Corridor Crew. You'd be a great guest on the show. Yeah, man, send me a link because I don't know if this will stick around for me to remember that. That would be awesome. Send me a little message. I'll check them out for sure. Trying to expand as much as I can as an online presence right now and getting more and more people watching our stuff. And how do I feel animating from Vico? I feel Vico, animation to me is meditation. It's zen. It's super zen. Like, I know when you get into the zone of animating, when I go in the garage at night and I turn on my movies and I just focus on one thing, bringing life to these characters, it feels like meditation. My whole body gets really calm and then it gets really excited. Because when I press play and the characters come to life, anyone who's done stop motion understands the high, whoosh, whoosh, that drug of life. And when you do it well, it just touches my heart unlike anything else I've ever felt. But bringing life to inanimate objects is really, really special. So that's how I feel. I'm so meditative and I'm so excited and thrilled to see what it's going to be, because you never know in animation, right? In stop motion, you don't quite know what you're going to get. You have an idea, but it's never matching your imagination because it's a living, breathing thing. So let's see here. That's Vico. Not sure if you said this before, but are you interested in Japanese animation from CubeMan77? Yes, I am. You know, me and my daughter right now are going through a small anime phase where I am very uneducated anime-wise. Outside of art school a long time ago when I first got introduced to it, I haven't followed that much. And I'm looking for recommendations. So if you guys have good anime, please send me a message and I will watch it. Because pretty much me and my daughter do daddy-daughter movie night every week. One night a week we watch a movie. Every Thursday night, which was last night. And last night we watched Strange Days, if you're wondering. It's an old science fiction film from early 90s. Catherine Bigelow, sci-fi. Love it. And then, we watched Akira. We watched, Princess Mononoke and a bunch of the big ones. But I'm looking for new stuff. Ninja Scroll we watched, 3 weeks ago or something like that. Let's see here. Do you ever do 2D? Oh, yes. I love 2D. I love 2D animation. And I wish I could do it more. I know that I am going to do a 2D animated short at some point. I've done stop motion. I did 2D in college. I did every once in a while. I don't know if you saw, I did a little quick 2D. The most recent 2D that I did was I did a flip book for my YouTube channel where I scream out, "It's tutorial time!" And it's just a little flip book of me sitting on a cliff yelling out tutorial time. And it's the first time I've done it in a while, but it was really fun. I love doing 2D. And if you saw my werewolf, I did some really rough 2D kind of experiments before I started doing the clay animation werewolf. But yeah, I love 2D. That's how I started. That's how most of us start, actually. Let's see here. Carl Graham, do you use animation guides when you do stop motion in Dragonframe, or does it feel prohibited? No, I do not. I very, very rarely use guides. And I know this is a very common thing. And I've talked about it many times on my live streams. Carl, is like, to me, it's great. Like Leica or some of the other big studios are very, very reference heavy studios where they, maybe not rotoscope, but it looks very rotoscoped in a lot of cases because they're matching the timing exactly. They're matching the postures, the gestures really, really closely. And I understand how that makes it easier to animate. But in stop motion, I try not to do it as much as possible. Here in the garage where I work, I don't have to use it because I don't work for a studio. No one's mandating me to do it. So I like to just play and imagine. And that's what I do. So, and not to mention, I very rarely get to have enough time to do blocks or rehearsals or whatever. I'm just like finding moments to go play in the garage. And if you've ever seen a live stream of me animating, I'm not using reference. I will choreograph. Me and Shelly will choreograph, and I will draw poses. And I've even recorded myself and then drawn poses, if that makes any sense. Because then what happens is you go in with some basic ideas and knowledge and pick up little things that maybe you wouldn't have grabbed up here only as an imagination thing. But when you put it in drawing form or something else, it's like a treasure map, but you're not copying it. You're not like, how many frames to here, how many frames to there, how many, like rotoscoping basically, where you're completely copying. And I don't know if you've ever seen people doing dance animations online or all of these things where they're copying reference footage and all of a sudden their animation looks great. But if you take that away from them, they cannot animate for crap. And that's because it's a giant crutch. And what they're doing is they're copying. And that is not animating. That's copying. So if you use it as a guide, is you use it as what it's supposed to be used as, which is reference, but then you go beyond and you animate beyond, then absolutely use it. But you will get into certain situations where if you can't imagine or you don't have an understanding of timing and spacing, you will fall on your face because you have nothing. You've been relying on video reference your whole life. So that's an answer, and not one a lot of people like see. I use reference in my CG work though. I'll let you know that often, but I don't have to copy it because then it's just like there on the side, and I can look through it and look at poses and get some acting ideas and see some of the subtle behavior, but I don't rotoscope. That's not fun. Okay, let's see. Isn't timing spacing from JJ the Super Turtle? Isn't timing spacing and weight a big part of stop motion? Yeah, it's everything. Magic lies inside of timing. I say it all the time. Timing and spacing is where magic is. When you see things move with a certain energy or a certain weight, all of that is where performance and magic, the spark of life is in those choices. If you see things moving evenly all over the place like they're underwater, it's dead. Who cares if it's smooth? It's freaking dead. So yeah, it's everything. And it's not just part of stop motion animation, it's part of animation, period. Period. So important. Okay, from I Bring Them to Life. I love animating, but like in softwares, how do you have that kind of patience to do it in stop motion? Because I'm a person who likes to feel my artwork, if you know what I mean. Like I'm a tactile person. I like to do stunts and run and jump and play with toys and feel physical three-dimensional artwork. I like to draw, and there's a disconnect. Even though I love CG animation, there's a disconnect because it's all in the computer, right? Like there's no... When I can walk into a room and see a set or see puppets that I can touch, it is so rewarding than clicking on a mouse and going into some software program where really you don't necessarily have to have art skills. You don't. You have to know technical skills, and then you have to learn performance, which is an art, but you don't necessarily have to be an artist to be a great animator. In the traditional sense, you definitely have to be able to be an artist as far as acting and maybe understanding of performance, but I just love the tactile. I love touch. I love the imperfections of stop motion. I love real lighting, and it's just what I grew up with as well. You know, like I love the old. What I wanted to do was make movies with practical effects, and then it just happened that the world turned to computers. So I'm very happy that I found my way back to stop motion as well as CG animation. Let's see. What's my favorite animated movie from LOL Light? I'm going to say it's Secret of NIMH. I say it all the time. Secret of NIMH. Massive, massive inspiration. And I made me a huge part of what made me want to be an animator in life. So that's it. Secret of NIMH. It's an oldie. Let's see. Ooh, I got a recommendation. Watch Tatami Galaxy from the Sab Dog. Okay, Cyber XCA says, is camera angles important when you make action stop motion? And if so, what kind? Oh, yeah. Yeah, staging. That's called staging, Cyber XCA. How you show your artwork, your performance. If you watch any film, if you read any comic book, if you look at the compositions of the shots, of the squares that the drawings are inside, how they compose their drawings or animations give you a direct emotional feeling. And you can do a nice wide shot that shows amazing mechanics and cool action, but I guarantee you, if you start to do camera cuts and really start thinking about your compositions, it's going to be that much more of an emotional impact on your audience. So, yeah, really important. All right. Let's see. Cessna Illustration. What's up? Are you familiar with YouTube animator Worthy Kids? He does Fox stop motion in Blender. No, I'm not as of right now. I know there was something just this last week that went around that was like a Japanimation fake, like old Rankin Bass stop mo, and it looked really good. I was really, really, really impressed by that, and I think it's the most successful stop motion looking thing I've ever seen so far. It really was successful, and I think there was something about capturing not just the time period of stop motion, which was like the 50s and 60s, 70s stop motion, but it was, I think that helped a lot. But then there was also the VHS kind of quality film and like all the little imperfections that really made it successful. But worthy kids, I will look that up. Please, again, put that in my messages if you would. I really appreciate it. And then I will look it up after the live stream so I don't lose it. Fake stop motion. I would love to see that. Okay. Oh, right. Paul E. Edwards. Any tips on collaborating with or directing animators as a designer or non-animator? All right. Paul Edwards is a designer. He's an amazing designer. Probably one of the best ones I've ever met. Collaborating with directing animators. Wow. I think so much of it is getting them to buy off on your idea. For me, when I work with a designer and I'm just as jazzed or inspired by the design as I am to create the animations, that's when I will create the best work. So I think for me, tips on directing animators would be sell them on the idea, like as best you can. Don't micromanage. I think that's a big part, because part of being an animator is being creative too. And when you're, sometimes design will kind of want to remote control, what I call remote control the animator to do what they want to do, which is the ultimate goal, but it takes away a feeling of creativity that can happen for an animator. So if you can leave enough space to maybe collaborate, right? Because that's what we all do in the end with your animator, sell them on the idea, have a little back and forth so it doesn't feel like they're just a machine that's creating what you want, but you're creating something together. You're going to get so much more passion and energy from your animator, and you're also going to get long term, I think, a better product, because you have a certain level of creativity, and then animators are going to bring this whole other creativity to it that will probably plus it. 1 + 1 = 3. That's what I would always say to my designers, right? Like, if we do 1 + 1, we're going to get 2 between the two of us, because I'm basically going to just add my skill to what your idea is. But if we work together, oh my gosh, it could explode into something we both didn't expect, and it's really special. So getting them on board, don't micromanage, give them a little bit of space to play. And even then, if you have to bring it back, man, like as a game designer, it'll feel okay because you're doing it kind of together. You're like, okay, well, we need this to feel a certain way, or we need this to behave a certain way. Going through that process together will just, make it feel like more of a team thing. Hope that helps. I don't know if I just scrambled a million words for nothing, but I've been working with designers for 25 years too, so I definitely have felt stifled and really inspired by different designers. Okay. Be with Coffee says, since when did you start your animation? By the way, I love your job. Thank you. I started animating in college about 27 years ago, but I've been animating professionally for about 25. So a long time. Started in 2D, learned the computer, and then came back to stop motion halfway through my career as a professional CG animator. Let's see here. How do you animate the camera moving in stop motion without using a motion rig. This is typically done with sliders. I've talked about it. If you watch some of my other live streams, QBand77, you will see what I'm talking about. But it's basically a slider that you attach your camera to, and then you can push it one frame at a time as you animate. And then there's a thing called a Manfrotto geared head, which has winders on it, 3 winders, which will do tilt, pan, whatever you need. And it will, and you can turn it just a tiny bit every frame, and you can get all kinds of really, really good, cool camera moves. And then if you attach that to a slider, you get even more. So that's how you do it. But it's basically through just a little winder thing, Manfrotto geared head. All right. Oh my gosh, so many questions. I've been missing for a long time. How do you animate camera? Not sure if you said this before. Japanimation. Okay, this is from Mr. Visser. Does your patience ever run thin when making a scene? It must take forever. Very rarely. Very rarely. Stop motion is definitely for certain personality types. And I think it's for people that can really focus, dig in, like problem solving, and then of course like the magic of seeing real things come to life. But no, there's times when, like a puppet is breaking or things are falling over, like some really frustrating stuff can happen. But I think at this point in my career, I know how to avoid a lot of those issues, so I don't get that frustrated anymore. Yeah, so it doesn't really happen that much. All right. Okay, Vico again. Vico Souza. Justin, could you make tutorials of stop motion, like how to animate the character running? Yeah, I can do that, and I will add them to my Patreon. So come check it out very soon. Secret of Nim stop motion animation. No, Secret of Nim from QBand77 is a 2D animated film from the 80s. It's all traditionally hand animated pencil drawings. All right, from Carl Graham. How does your work time divide up between CG work and stop motion work? Content versus freelance. It's really interesting, Carl, because I right now am my full-time job is for Blizzard Animation, right? So I'm animating for them, or right now I'm directing for them. I'm making short films for the internet. At night, after my family goes to bed, I go into the garage and I create stop motion for my channels, my social media, for me, for my artistic soul. I'm making a film, a Viking short with my wife, and then I do stuff just for the channels, like I said, with the monkey or my gremlin or all these little things that are leading to larger projects, like the gremlin one that I'm doing right now. It's collaboration with Michelle Mello. Go follow her. She's really good. Mellowmade, at Mellowmade. And she and I are just 2 artists. These are just great artists that I want to work with and bring their puppets to life, right? So I can do that at the same time as get content for my channels and learn, like for instance with this one, how to mix live action and puppets, right? So I'm growing myself as an artist and then mixing with all these other mediums and stuff like that. So my nights are typically stop motion, my days are typically CG, my weekends are typically everything with my family, hanging out, doing life, and then working on our short films. Or any projects that we have on the side, like our Viking short. Okay. Let's see. Since when did you start this? 25 years ago, Be With Coffee. Okay, and then Carl says, when did you start doing parkour stuff you do? Since when I was like 1 year old, Carl. I've been doing parkour stuff since I was a little kid. Before it was called parkour. I was a gymnast back in the 80s, and then I did stunt stuff and BMX and skateboarding and martial arts and pole vaulting, you name it, like track and field, all kinds of different sports. So I've been doing it for a long time. It's been part of why I've been able to, I think, do well in animation is because I have a big movement background that really has helped my own work as an animator. All right. Let's see here. Okay, Cyber says, do you ever feel like some of the hard work you do when you animate it isn't worth it because you don't have that much of an audience? And if so, oh, dude, no. So here's the deal, Cyber XCA. Who cares about your audience? It's cool. It's amazing. Hey, Sandy. It's amazing that people come and watch my work or your work. Anyone watches your work, right? But who freaking cares long term, right? It's like you're animating for you. I'm animating for me. It's really rad when you guys will watch something I create and like it. But I don't care because I'm making my movies, right? And I'm making the gremlin I'm doing to learn how to do it in a movie that I want to make, right? Like a big movie. I want to make a full feature with stop motion and live action. So I'm doing these little things to tell bigger stories someday. So it doesn't matter if people aren't watching your stuff, man. Are you enjoying it? That's the number one question. Are you enjoying animating? Are you growing? That's it. That's all that matters. And if people watch it, awesome. Good for you. I watch your stuff. So who cares, right? It's all for you. It's not for them. All right. Let's see. Okay, and JJ the Super Turtle says, another thing about timing, how would I practice at getting better at it along with spacing? Well, first off, I would pay attention to what timing and spacing is. If you can't take a class or look at some tutorials online, that would maybe be able to visually illustrate it. But basically the super short of it is watch cartoons and frame your way through them. And see, if you see something you really like wow, that was funny, or wow, that felt awesome, it was heavy, it was powerful, it was humorous, whatever it is, and then break it down frame by frame and say like, why did it feel that way? And then you start looking at the individual drawings, the individual frames, and you're like, oh, look at that pose change. Look at how they eased into that and eased out of that. Whoa, look at that shape change. The back is this shape and then it goes to that shape, like contrast. And, like look at the anticipation. All of these are the fundamentals of animation, which are going to make your work stronger. So if you want to specifically start working on timing, check it out. Look at timing and break it down on anything that you respond to. Like if you're going to go work on Robot Chicken, study Robot Chicken timing. If you're going to go work at Leica, check out how they do their spacing and their timing, right? Supernatural, right? Like if you're going to go work on whatever you're going to work on, Tom and Jerry, DuckTales. I know I'm naming old cartoons from the 80s and stuff like that. Whatever the show is that you're going to work on. Adventure Time. Just see how they do their stuff. American Dad, like Family Guy. There's formulas to a lot of the stuff. South Park. Check out South Park. They have such limited animation, but what they do with timing and little tiny gestures can be so powerful. And so study. That's my advice to you. Is just go study and frame through stuff. And then start applying it to what you do. Experiment. All right. Vico says animation is a brotherhood. Learned with you. Yes, it is. I agree. Most people don't realize, but I'm shy in person. I'm a pretty shy person. But in certain groups like animation or stunts or BMX or whatever I love, things that I love in my heart, my shyness goes away and there's a brotherhood there because I'm like, what? You do BMX? I do BMX. Let's do BMX together. You animate? I love animation. Let's do animation together. There's that, like, did we just become best friends? There's all of that brotherhood there. So, like, so many of you here that I see and I answer these questions to, or I talk to regularly through my Instagram messages, like, absolutely. I'm supporting you from afar. I'm watching your accounts. I'm loving to see growth. My students that I have, I've had many students that I've gotten to see go from, being very early animators to now working professionals. It's really, really cool. And it definitely is a brotherhood because stop motion specifically is very small. Very small. All right, let's see here. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy now from Vico. Awesome. All right. Oh, and then Q-Band said, no, I meant, would you do a stop motion short based on Secret of Nem? I don't know. Maybe. I love Secret of Nem. We'll see. Hi from Peru. What's up, Nicholas? They break down frame by frame. Any advice for entering the stop motion feature films industry as an animator from Guillem Ignacy? Quality work, dude. That's it. That's the advice. If you want to be an animator, do animation. Make a great reel. If you have a great reel, you're going to get a job. It's just the quality of your work. They will bring in people from other countries to America, feature, if the work is strong enough. But you have to be at a professional level, especially feature. You have to be at a feature level. And that's, that's a tall order sometimes, right? Like, if you're in America, sometimes you can break into television first and obviously build your skills up and up and up and up to feature level before, and then you can break in. That's pretty much the path most people take. But if you're coming, straight for feature, you have to look at those movies and compare your work and say, like, am I on that level? And if you are on that level, then apply. Send a reel in. Okay. Hi, Justin. This is from Vico again. Justin, how can we study the movements? Like, I want to study how Leica animate the characters. Look at a DVD. Go on YouTube. If you don't have a DVD, go on YouTube and just click the little, not arrows, the little, I can't remember what they are. The little, these things. The little things right next to the M button on a keyboard. You can go forward and backward, and you can frame by frame through animation now on YouTube. Yeah. So go do it that way. That's the cheap, easiest way to do it. I typically have done it on DVD because I have a lot of DVDs. That's my mode, and I'm old. Okay, JJ, after a while of working, I would love to learn from you or other animator. Any tips on how? I teach. Just hit me up on my messages. I teach privately every week. I have students right now, and I've been teaching since Kubo. I've been teaching privately on Zoom. So if you want to work with me, just give me a call, sign up, and we just have to organize my schedule because I have limited spots and how many students I can take. Teach me on this direct, please. No. Go to my Patreon, Vico. Sorry. Oh man, so many people here. saying, all right, I'm going to give it to you again because people always ask, what are the lines on my head? I'm going to answer this for probably the 10th time. When I was younger, I did comic books. I would draw comic books. And in the comic books, I had characters that all had different shapes on their head, different patterns on their head. And for different roles that they did in the tribe, the characters in this comic that I made. And the one character who would kick off the stories in my comic book that had the 3 stripes on his head was the storyteller. And I consider myself the storyteller. As far as my whole life, I've been telling stories. And he would, at the beginning of the comic, take his 3 fingers and he would drag them down his head, turn them around from the fire to his people, and then tell the story. And I shaved it into my head for years and years, and then I really just said, I'm going permanent. And that's the short part of the story. There's more that's going on back here that you can't see. Hope that answers it. Let's see here. Yes, Cessna says, Cessna illustration. You started in 2D, right? Then CG, then later stop motion. Yes. That's exactly how my process went. When I went to art school, though, I did want to start in stop motion. I wanted to start in practical effects, and that's where I was headed. Jurassic Park came out while I was in art school, and then I switched to learning CG because I kind of saw the future. The writing was on the wall that was going to be where animation work was going to be headed. But yes, I still do 2D. I just don't get to do it very often. I'll do little animation tests here and there, like little pencil tests. That's as close as I can get right now time-wise because I'm so busy doing my day job and then all of the stop-motion projects that I have happening. I probably have like 10 projects in stop-motion happening all at the same time in developing my channels as well as, personal storytelling that I want to do. And then Ismail, I already answered the stripes on my head thing. And then Cyber XCA, what can I do to make my characters have personality? You can do the same things that anyone does with personality. I think when you're young, think of like what you know, right? Like characters stereotypes, right? The big dumb guy, the short attitude having guy, the one who's too short but he's really aggressive and trying to assert his masculinity or something. Like big funny caricatures at first might be a good place to start in adding personality to your characters or animation, right? People will recognize them. They're funny. They're stereotypes and caricatures because there's a lot of truth to a lot of those sometimes. And then you can break those and you can mix them up. You can have the short guy who's not that, short man disease guy, or the big guy who's really intelligent like Beast from X-Men. There's so many different mixing and matching you can do, and then you are inventing your own characters. But just think deeply about your character and how they would act once you do make them up, and then all of a sudden personality will be there. You just have to not just jump into your animations and start moving. Think, plan, and then create. And then you will have choice. Your characters will be able to make their own choices because you've defined who they are, which would be different. See here. Wow, so many questions. Good gracious. A little worried about animating. I don't know. That one disappeared. Well, I think that unless you guys have anything else you're interested in hearing, what I can do is I'll take you downstairs and I'll give you a quick peek at what I'm doing in the garage. And then I'm going to sign off and go talk with Shelly and my daughter. We're going to brainstorm tonight a new cartoon that might be happening. Uh-oh, I got one more question. Fabi ASDFG, what do you think about stop motion at 60 frames per second? I think it's weird. I think it's really weird. The programs that I'm seeing and some of the people that I'm starting to see use these programs to make bad animation, just saying it, or lower quality animation look good and smooth. I think it's neat. It's a cool tool, but it looks a little swimmy, if that makes any sense. It looks swimmy, like mushy, or something about it takes away a little bit of the charm of stop motion to me. I work at 24 frames per second all the time, and I love that look, and I know I'm old. I'll admit to it, I know I'm old. But 60 frames per second is for like video game kids. And I work in video games, so I understand why they love, the high frame rate stuff. But in stop motion, I just think it's a little... It starts to remove the feeling of stop motion, if that makes any sense. Like, I know it's real, the lighting's real, but then it starts to feel swimmy and swishy. And then that pulls me out of it again. As far as believing it, again, is a real object moving under someone's hand. And it starts just feeling more like it's a computer-generated image again. Or at least... not truly controlled by the artist in the same way. So hey, I hope that answers it. Back in the garage, blue screen. I've gone green, I've gone blue like 6 times since I've been home here. As you can see here, Mellow Maid's Annie. This is my Mogwai that I'm animating right now for all the test stuff I'm doing. And you can see I've got a little circle light there. I've got my actual lamp from my office. And then I have the lights back there for the blue screen. And then I have a little side light here to catch his eyes and make sure that he blends in with the live action footage that I'm using. And I am here using my dragon. And as you can see, we got Annie here. She was stealing the food, I think, the last time that you guys saw some stuff. She's stealing the sandwich from Sleeping Me. And you can see here that there's the plate, right? So that's the live action me. And then the blue where I have Annie in the shot. And I'll be compositing her right into the live action. So what I do is I line it up, and I originally start with getting, the lens to be the right height, length, and then I get the plate in here properly so I can line that up with the live action footage that I have in there. And as you see here, I have some magnets on the plate. And what that did was help me try to track Annie's hands, because I can't attach Annie's hands and she's interacting with this plate as I animate. It's really challenging. But it worked. A little trick to keep the hands a little bit more stabilized. Just with some glue and some super magnets. So, as you can see again here, we're in here and I'll play it and you can kind of see how I grab the plate there. And then I reach over and I pick her up. I'm like, Annie, what are you doing? And I pick her up. So that's kind of the basic interaction. The shot's longer than that. And then what I do is, here, you can see Annie kind of gets startled and steps up. And then starts to get picked up. And you can see here that she's getting... gets picked up by my hand. The way I do that is... couple of tricks is like you can see here, see that little circle? that little circle is just a drawing tool in Dragon Frame. And what I'm doing is, if you see here, is I grab the tool and I draw a little circle, and then every frame, like as you see, like here was the last frame. As I go to the next frame, I know her hand has to be there. So I just kind of move the circle up to where the pinch will be. And then now I know when I go back to Annie, I can reposition her by moving all of my rigs and her body up as I start to animate her starting to follow through and get picked up and stuff like that. So just a little trick so that when she backs up and then whoop, gets picked up, I'll have a little target and to make sure that it looks like it's all flowing and lined up when I get to actual animation. So I'll be animating this weekend. This is like my goal, to get this shot done by Monday morning. So that means Saturday night and Sunday night I will be in here with Annie, and I'll try to maybe do a live stream of me animating this if anyone's interested. I don't know, it's boring, but I'll do it. I'll be doing it. Maybe I can set it up in a cool way. So I got a couple more questions and then I'm gonna take off, guys. Okay. My dad will help buy the sticky bones to me. Does it help? Sticky bones are cool, yeah. Yeah, sticky bones are great. Very mobile. You can animate with anything. You're doing great jobs with action figures. So enjoy it. And then yesterday I saw Coraline at 60 frames per second and it felt weird. Ooh. I'll have to look at that one. I have not seen that. I'm sure it's probably online. There's a lot of people putting up a 60 frame per second old Harryhausen films and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I prefer all the old mistakes and stuff. All right, I think that's it, folks. Thanks for coming. Make sure you go check out @MellowMade and @BeetleOwl.